In the moonlight, listen to the Lord and Lady call their children. In the moonlight, listen to the Lord and Lady call their children. In the moonlight, listen to the Lord and Lady call their children.
Hi everyone, this is Natalie, and this is Sunday on Witches of the Moon. This week we are doing our Share a Spell week, so you all will have to forgive my messy kitchen. As you can see, I've been helping myself to the jugo de la vida, as I like to say, the juice of life in my cup here. Ish. So this week I am going to share two very simple spells. Now, normally when I do this first spell, I have everything kind of set up on my altar. Yesterday was Ostara. I did my Ostara ritual this morning. I should have done this video when I had my altar set up in the garage. But as you all know from watching prior videos, I don't have a permanent altar space. So what I did was I set up a sort of pseudo altar here. Now, this does not have to be done in a formal ritual. If you have a permanent altar space, that's obviously ideal. But essentially, you know, say I had my altar set up, I would have my 4 elemental candles, I would have the God and Goddess candle, and I would have a candle representing whatever Sabbat I'm celebrating that day. I don't typically do Esbat rituals, but you could do this as an Esbat ritual and it would be good. Now, I have my itty bitty little baby cauldron here that I'm actually quite fond of, but I find is really small for what I want to do. This first spell that I'm going to share with you is a prosperity ritual, a prosperity spell. So, for example, as many of you know, I own my own business. I have a home health and office-based speech pathology service here in North Texas. And I really am trying to grow my business at this point in time. My husband has been out of work for going on 4 years now and has been working for me. So we are solely dependent on the success of my practice, and it's got me totally wigged. So I do a lot of this prosperity type work. So here's what I do. I will take a green candle. And I choose green because green to me represents growth and prosperity, not so much. Like Trina mentioned in one of her previous videos that she did, she doesn't choose green because it means money, because money can change. But it is growth and prosperity. If you are into archetypal literature, you know that green is typically a color that is represented in literature as growth, new growth, rebirth, prosperity, that sort of thing. And so I will choose a green candle. Now, what I will do also is I will anoint my candle, and I have basil essential oil here from Mountain Rose Herbs. I don't know if that's going to come out clear or not. Sorry about that, guys. I'm kind of recording this on my iPad because my computer decided to take a dump last night, and I need to replace the motherboard. So when you are anointing your candles, what you want to do is if you are wanting to bring something to you, you anoint from the top down towards you. So I would say something to the effect of, I anoint this candle with basil to bring prosperity and growth to me, my business, my life. Now you can also inscribe certain things into your candle. I find that for me, I prefer to use natural items to do that. I was out walking in the greenway behind my house and stepped on a huge thorn that stuck itself into my shoe. And although it wasn't hurting my foot, I kind of felt it and was like, what the heck is that? Picked my foot up, and when I pulled it out, it's a pretty good-sized thorn like this on a branch. And so I use that to inscribe my candles. But I would write in prosperity, success, business growth, what have you. If you are wanting to send something away from you, then you would say, you know, like failure, insuccess, lack of clients, blah, 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 blah. And you would anoint away from you. So I absolutely love basil essential oil. It is one that is traditionally associated with prosperity. I understand Spanish prostitutes used to wear it as a perfume to attract clients. So there's your interesting fact for the day. you would anoint your candle. Obviously, you would have your God and Goddess candle lit. You'd have that. I use my cauldron a lot for my spell work, and I really need a bigger one, but I don't know when I'm going to ever be able to afford that. But you would put your candle that you have inscribed with your intentions, anointed with your intentions, into your cauldron or into your pot that you're going to burn it in, and you might incant something such as, Lord and Lady, this day I ask, bring me wealth and prosperity to me, harming none, so mote it be, something along those lines. Usually when I do this kind of spell work, I say whatever comes to my mind. I don't typically write it down now. I have been trying to get better about writing down my incantations because I would like to be able to put that into my book of shadows, but it's something that I just say. So, Lord and Lady, bring to me prosperity and wealth you see. Give me success, so now I ask, so mote it be, something along those lines, Success will you bring to me, harming none, so mote it be. Now, I do always add in something to the effect of, and harming none, so mote it be, because you will find that the God and Goddess have a bit of a sick sense of humor, and so, you might be getting by the way, your Uncle George passed away today, and he left you $5 million. I don't have an Uncle George, and if I did, he probably wouldn't be able to leave me $5 million, because my family's po white trash for the most part. So, anyway, that being said, you want to say some sort of incantation. When you do this, it is extremely important, I cannot stress this enough, that you put in your intentions into that. You are visualizing, not that you want money, you are visualizing that you have that success or have that prosperity. So for me, what that would mean is I would be visualizing as I'm doing this, all of this. I would be visualizing my phone ringing off the hook with new referrals, our email blowing up with new referrals from our website, doctors calling us and wanting us to, service their clients, families being successfully served and referencing us to other people. You want to see all of that. It's very important that that is in your head and you see the outcome that you are looking for. Then what you would do is you would light the candle and you would let it burn down. Now, another variation to this is that if you have a sigil that you have developed, and you might want to watch Trina's video on that from a couple of weeks ago, you could make a sigil, or in this case, again, I'm choosing green, and normally when I do this, I actually would use, let me show you what I would actually use. I have a glass calligraphy pin set. There's this one, and there's this one. And there are multiple colored inks. So I would choose the green one, and I would do something like, if I had a sigil developed for prosperity for my business, then I would do that. If not, then what I would do is I would maybe just take my pen, and I actually am using a piece of index card as an example. When I actually do it this way, I do not do that. I use parchment paper, and I will use green parchment paper if it's for growth or success or prosperity. If it's for anything else, then I just use the regular. And sometimes this pen gives me a little grief, so bear with me here. But I would write prosperity onto my parchment paper. So, then you could take that, and once you light this candle, you could take any other wishes that you have, you could light them and put them in the cauldron and burn it with it. Now, either way, you want to let this candle burn all the way down. It needs to be left in a place where it can burn freely. I do not recommend under any circumstances that you leave a candle burning unattended. You need to be able to stay with it till it burns down all the way, or have someone watching it. If I have to be moving about the house, but I make sure I stay to the area, like if I have to work around the kitchen, I need to clean the kitchen, or I have something I need to do, I will put this on my stove and I will let it burn down. Once it is burnt down all the way, you want to take any ash that you have from any wishes that you may have put in there, if you're doing it that way. If you're not doing it that way, if you're just using the candle, that's okay too. But if you have more than one wish, besides just prosperity, like you want new referrals or whatever like that, you may add those things and burn it in. You would take all of that ash and you would take the candle wax, and I usually place it into a cotton tissue or into a muslin bag, and I bury that on my property somewhere, because you want to commend that to the elements. Now, there are other ways of doing that. Some people like to take it to a body of running water and throw it to the body of running water. Some people like to just take the ash. They don't do anything with the wax. They take the ash and they scatter it to the four corners, and you can do that. And I will do that in another spell in just a moment. So that would be just a very simple prosperity spell. Obviously, you want to make certain that you thank the god and goddess and the elements for their assistance in gaining access to your wish. You want to be able to, you always want to thank them, because remember that everything we have comes through them. So anytime you're doing something like this and you're casting that out, you want to say, your blessing I ask on this wish. I thank you for your guidance in these matters, and, be with me always. So I'm going to be something along those lines. Now, that being said, that would be just your simple prosperity spell. So, moving that aside, I'm going to show you another really simple spell. We did a subject a few weeks ago about, putting magic into your mundane life. And I think all of the hosts did a phenomenal job in talking about that. This is a spell that I find, I get people that ask me, how often do you do your magic, or do you do your rituals? I do formal rituals on the Sabbats. If I have a really big pressing issue, I may do a formal ritual in which I will incorporate my spell work. But to be honest with you, a lot of my spell work is done right here in my kitchen. And one of the things that I do that's a very easy spell only requires bay leaves, matches or a lighter, and the appropriate colored pens. Now, it's very hard to use this kind of a set for that, so I don't. But this is what I call your basic wish spell. And essentially, you can pick up a jar of decent bay leaves like this at the dollar store. I got these at the dollar store for $1. So you would just open it up. You would decide whatever you're asking for, and you can use this to ask for as many things as you need in your life at that time. But what I would do, just using... well, we could use love as an example, since we use prosperity for this one. I would use love. So what I would do is I would take a red pen. And for this type of spell, I really like to use a paint pen or something like that. But if you don't, you can use just a regular marker. And I would write on there, love. It's going to look backwards to you guys. I apologize, but love. So then what you would do is you would take your lighter and you would simply start that bay leaf. As you can see, it burns pretty good. If it goes out, just restart it. And put that in your cauldron and let it burn. Now, as it burns down to ash, what you would do, and by the way, bay smells very good when it burns. So, if you're finding that it's not burning all the way down, please, feel free to relight it. What I find is helpful in helping these to burn down is if you have some oil you can anoint the leaves with once you've written the words on there. You can do that. But essentially, just let it burn down like that. Now, again, you can do this for as many wishes as you need at this time. Now, as you can see, that burned down really nicely. There's none of that leaf left. So remember that the smoke is carrying your wish to the universe, but so is the ash. So what I will do is, once I've done this, and I may do one that says love, one that says success, one that says happiness. If there's something I wish to get rid of out of my life, I would say no something, no this. So no negativity, no resistance. No, resistance is futile with me. But then I would take these ashes, and I would take them outside. I might put them onto a cloth or a paper towel or something. And if you don't have a cauldron, or you don't want to take this to work with you because people give you strange looks, you can burn it on a plate. You can, just something that's going to be fire resistant or heat resistant. Then I would take these ashes and I would commend these ashes to the four elements. So I would go out and I would say, by the power, well, you start in the E, so by the power of air, then to fire, water, earth, spirit, I ask your guidance on these things, bring these wishes to me. You want to give some sort of words to that because your words speak your intentions. To these elements do I cast these wishes, bring these things or keep these things from me, harming none, so mote it be. Again, I always add that in because, again, the universe has kind of an odd sense of humor, and you just never know what you're going to get if you don't take care of yourself, because you don't want any harm coming to you or to anybody else out of anything that you do. So this is a very simple spell, and you can do this anytime, anywhere. As you can see, it burns down very easy. There's very little of anything left, and then you're done. So I hope that these two spells, I realize they seem a little kind of, and again, when I'm doing it in a more formal setting, I tend to give my incantations. But your incantations, I could give you words to say, but it's not going to have your intention. Those words need to come from you. So anything that you say needs to have all of your visualization and all of your intention behind it. I don't typically like to share my spell work because for me it's very personal. It's something that comes from within my heart, within my soul, deep within me. It's something I really need at that time or want. And so, for me to give you words to say would be kind of futile because it needs to come from you. But it just gives you an idea. You do need to put your words to it, and they don't have to rhyme. If you're not a rhymer, you don't have to do that. I like mine to rhyme because it just sort of sounds good and it seems to go with the rhythm, but it doesn't necessarily have to. You could say something as simple as, Lord and Lady, I ask that you grant me these wishes I present to you in the universe. May the elements guard this wish, so mote it be. And that's it. I mean, it does not have to rhyme. But I hope that this will be useful to you in some way and that you will work with it and find it useful to you and helpful in your practice. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.